it covers a pretty broad set of things going into the humanities and the sciences. But the real heart of Khan Academy has always been math, although we hope to expand into everything eventually. But the math highlights how we think about learning. So this is our knowledge map. Each circle there is a concept in mathematics. If you were to double click on those, it actually goes down to the skill level, which are individual problem types. I'll show what that looks like in a second. And the general idea here is students start at their level, and as they show proficiency in concepts, and as they show proficiency in basic addition and subtraction, it'll move them to decimals. As they show proficiency in that, it'll move them down to exponents, and down that map, and then until they get to high school and college level mathematics. And that's kind of common sense to a lot of us. It's the way a video game would work. You beat level 1, then you go to level 2. It's the way that you learn a martial art. You pass the white belt exam, then you move on to the yellow belt. But what we always stress is this is not the way that a traditional school model works. In a traditional school model, we group all the students together, usually by age, and we shepherd them all along at a set pace. And the most typical experience is students go to a classroom, they get a lecture at the same pace for everybody, then they go home, they do some homework. That continues for a couple of weeks, lecture, homework, lecture, homework, lecture, homework, and then they get an exam after 2 or 3 weeks. Let's say that exam is in basic exponents. In a traditional school, I might get an 80% of the exam, you might get a 90%, you might get a 85%, and even though the exam has identified these weaknesses in basic exponents, even the student who got a 95%, an A-, what was that 5% they didn't know? And even though the exam identifies these weaknesses, that's just even assuming it's a decent exam, the class then moves on to the next concept, say negative exponents. And to understand how, on some level, strange this process is, imagine if we applied it to other things in our life, say home building. So you get the contractor in, and you say, look, I've been told we have 3 weeks to build this foundation, do what you can. So they do what they can, maybe it rains, maybe the supplies don't fully show up. After 3 weeks, the inspector shows up and takes a look and says, well, you know, the concrete's still wet there, and that part's still not quite up to code. I'd give it an 85%. So great, that's a C+, let's build the first floor. Same process, we've got 2 weeks to build the first floor. At the end of 2 weeks, the inspector gives it 75%. Let's build the second floor, third floor, fourth floor. And then when the whole thing comes collapsing, if your reaction is like the reaction in kind of the public reaction that when we see education not working, we'll say, oh, we had a bad contractor. Or we'll say, oh, we need better inspection or more inspection. And maybe that was part of it, but the real obvious thing was that the process was strange. That we were artificially constraining how long someone had to learn something or how long someone had to teach something, and then the variable was how well the student learned it, pretty much ensuring that they're going to have these gaps in more basic things, and somehow expecting them to master more advanced things without fully understanding the simpler one. So what we say is instead of holding fixed how long you have to learn something and the variable is how well you learn it, do it the other way around. What's fixed is that every student should learn, we should all get to 100% or 99% on basic exponents before moving on to negative, and the variable here should be how long we have to learn it and when we learn it. So really personalize the education around an individual student. Now to understand kind of the flow, and a lot of what I'm going to show you